In my flickering headset, I see that town. Silent Hill. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And today, the map we're going to be exploring is RP Silent Hill Dark. I'm not sure which iteration of the town this is going to be drawing inspiration from, but, well, the inspiration is clear. Drenched in this thick fog, the empty and, well, now that I think about it, truly silent streets. It's just us and ourselves left to contemplate what brought us here. And that's always been the main thing about Silent Hill, hasn't it? It doesn't oversaturate you with enemies. The ones that you do encounter aren't even usually that difficult. It's all about making you feel unsafe, about making you feel trapped, but, well, in the case of Silent Hill 2 at least, we weren't trapped, were we? Silent Hill 2, of course, being the only one I can speak for, because to this day it's still the only one I've played. But in that, we were trapped not by things like this, the road being out or monsters in the path, but by our own sense of guilt and obligation. The feeling that we'd never be able to live with ourselves if we turned around. But of course, the way this works is everyone experiences it differently. In this case, maybe it's my curse. Maybe I just can't leave well enough alone until I've unturned every stone. So with the open street ahead of us, let's walk into that fog, the shape of which almost seems like a Rorschach test in this moment, and see what we can do. Now, there have been Silent Hill maps before, but I always found them to be too small to really do a video on, and very often we're really just about recreating the vibe, but this is a full-on RP map with interiors and secrets. Flashlight? Flashlight? There we go. I don't know. Wow, the flashlight was too scared to be here. Tried to weasel out of it. Come on, would you do it for a Scooby snack? Maybe it has some demons to face, too. Hang on, I think I might have heard something just faintly. Yeah, the eerie silence is certainly a present force on this map. It actually really throws me off when VR is completely silent. I don't know, it's like my brain sort of loops in on itself and it makes it hard to focus. Nothing from back there. And I don't imagine we can leap over this counter and get behind those curtains, can we? Yep. No. Still, look at this place. This is immaculately detailed. And look, we've still got all these bowls and plates still left out on the table. It's actually as if everyone just disappeared. It doesn't seem like a place that's been abandoned forever. The door's still wide open. Look, a puddle on the floor as if someone was just mopping moments ago. Silent Hill to me has always just been something that... It feels so unfriendly. It isn't like other horror games where there needs to be some kind of zombie apocalypse or escaped experiment. It's something that just kind of confronts you with all your own fears and anxieties and insecurities. And always, 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 no matter who you are, it makes you feel utterly unwelcome. Oh, wait. I'm not sure which iteration of the games this is going for, or if it's even a recreation at all. But to me, this reminds me of the exterior of the apartments from Silent Hill 2. Ooh, in fact, we may have just gotten our answer. Look, even the posters littering the floor are themed to the map. Alchemilla Hospital. Alchemilla is the name of a Silent Hill fan game, which a lot of you have requested and is on my list. I do have it installed and have for some time. Ooh, but it seems like maybe we can get in right here? No, although I definitely feel eyes on me standing below these tall buildings. What is that? Actually, if I remember correctly, I think in Silent Hill 2, such symbols might have functioned as save locations. I might be thinking of something else. I know there was something red. General store. Well, there's products still on some of the shelves. And I can see that the floor is slick with water. I guess leaky roof. Can we get back through that door? Nope, no we can't. You know, I don't know what it is. For as spooky as this is, I still feel a bit safer in here than I do on the streets. That's something that's always been pretty interesting to me about Silent Hill, is that it's not afraid to do daylight horror. Of course, it's got its own atmospherics going for it, but I feel like in moments like this, it creates more of a disconnect where you feel the fear of night without actually being unable to see. Well, without being unable to see in that way. All the street signs are actually here. Kuntz Street, Crichton. Well, I guess we don't have much choice but to go down this way then, huh? I swear for just a moment it sounded like footsteps were coming from far, far to the right of me. Is there anything to see up this fire escape? General store. Weren't we just at the general store? Well, doesn't seem like we can open this. It almost seems like if this were to be a Silent Hill game, that would be a clue, that maybe we would find something here that leads us in that direction. Or something in the general store would lead us here. Well, in any case, what am I running around with this flashlight for, which appears to be bugged right now? Before I couldn't get it to stay, now I can't get it to leave. Alright, flashlight. Horror baby's long been a thing. Now it's time for you to become an actual character. Alright, flashlight, if you really don't want to go it on your own, I suppose we could always team up. World of Nightmares begins beyond this wall. Well, all the more reason to save it then, because we have an entrance to these buildings over here. Oh, look, that perfectly framed little sitting area in this courtyard. Alchemilla Hospital. Are we actually going to get to enter? We don't even open the doors manually. We have to walk up to them and we teleport through. Okay, let's keep that in mind then. And maybe there's some things I should go back and check. Ooh, there's a note on the desk. Ah, are we going to have story elements here as well? April 14th, I can't tell if that says 80 or 60. Preparation, Claudia White. Alias PTV. This preparation represents the diluted version of preparation something. In small doses, the preparation causes hallucinations and symptoms resembling narcotic inebriation. Sale of the preparations will be carried out through the antique store, Green Lion. Part of the diluted preparation will be given to the local cult known as the Order, with the exception of close confidants. Disclosure of this document to anyone is expressly forbidden. Dr. Kaufman. And you left all that implicating information right there on the front desk for anybody to stumble on. Of course, in a town like this, left may not be part of the question. I don't know, this is starting to seem like a job for the safety Glock. It's as if some patient is still being observed all these years later. X-rays still left up on the screens. A very loud attempting to open the door noise that scared me out of my skin. This is something I feel we need to consider when exploring a Silent Hill map. We need to look at this not as something that's been abandoned, not as something that needs to be dissected so we can learn its story. We need to view this from an emotional perspective rather than a logical perspective, because that's how Silent Hill stories are told. Remember, this place, it's about showing us who we really are. When we look at something and say it's as if it's trying to tell us this, we need to listen to that on a much more literal level. If we're seeing something, it's because we were meant to poke through it, that we were meant to learn something from it. For a given value of learn. I mean, it's arguable that all this place does is use what we bring in with us, that it doesn't have any intention to it. It's just one of those properties about this place. There's a bit too much reflection here. I don't think I'll be able to read any of this. But this is quite a nice little office. Look at those dirty windows. It's like the fog has actually condensed itself right onto the glass, making it so opaque that only the light gets through. But I'm just imagining that within this place, any door that doesn't open isn't going to. However, there's potential for jump scares in each. God, just look at this level of detail, though. All these props and plants left out in the hall at irregular angles, the chipping paint on the window frames. This is actually some really enjoyable urban exploration while we're at it. I mean, this environment is really, really nice to look at. I don't suppose the elevator works. No, I didn't think so. We can step out of this doorway, though, even if it doesn't have a handle. Maybe we can... No. Alright, looks like we're taking the stairs. Maybe, in this case, it's trying to tell us we need to get on the elliptical. We've got to try the exit, right? Of course not, and it's only now that I take in the fact that the sign is lit up. I don't know, maybe I'm someone who's used to taking the easy way out of things. Probably 3 floors total, I'm guessing. Oh, but we actually can't explore this floor. Another of those sigils is just out of sight, though. We've yet to encounter one that we could actually touch. Presumably this is roof access, but it doesn't seem like we can go that way. Actually, this whole hallway is quite oddly caged off. Okay, I think that's a ladder over there. For a second, I thought there was someone leaning up against the wall in the fog. I mean, all the posters and such we've seen are from, like, the 50s, but we've also seen things from, like, the 80s, like an arcade machine. Oh god, we've made our way around, and now the thought of someone in this fog is creeping me out even if it wasn't what I saw. Well, that explains the leaky roofs and wet floors. But in any case, that seems to be everything here. I swear, every time I see that table in the staff room over here, it makes me think that there's like something on a slab. And maybe it's just my imagination running wild given the location we're in. I keep expecting to see something horrible. But if we head back outside, I think if that's all in this area, it's probably about time we headed through that doorway, right? World of Nightmares begins beyond this wall. Well, we'll see how much that holds true. Okay, it doesn't look like we can enter through here. That's a creepy low-res face staring at me out of the postbox. Yeah, casual fashion since 1987. It seems to exist in its own bubble, you know? Where a lot of people seem to be aware of it, but no one comes here. No one can really seem to agree on what state it currently finds itself in. People of EU, rise up. Strange to find here. But another thing is how much it really seems to have that small town vibe to it. In those games, every street is named, there's a custom sign above every building, and it all just feels so, like, personalized. It doesn't feel like it's repeating assets. Like, everything there is there for a reason, even if it never ends up being true. You have varying states of looking like it's not abandoned at all, like someone is watching you walk in, and seeming like this, like truly post-apocalyptic. It throws all these contradicting images at you because it's really all about your own mental state. It has nothing to do with actually piecing together a story, at least as far as I've seen. Can't enter here. Ooh, a movie theater. But it looks like someone's padlocked the doors. Actually, can we see what's playing? Phantom of the Mall. Huh. You know, that's kind of funny because if we are going with the idea of this place trying to tell me something, I'm pretty sure I saw on the workshop page that this map does have a mall. Maybe that's something we need to be looking out for? Tell you something else we need to look out for. Wow, we need to watch our step. That's not just... Whoa, that's not just a bridge being out. That's just falling away into the white void. It's like all these buildings just disintegrate past a certain point. Any building we can't enter just breaks off at the edge. Okay, there's a barrier we can move beyond, but I think there is still a street we didn't explore down this way. You know, I was thinking about adding Cry of Fear NPCs to this, figuring it would be a lot like Silent Hill 2, but now I'm not so sure. I mean, I've always felt that the strongest thing Silent Hill did was that it allowed you to spend a lot of time just wondering about the nature of all of this. Even if you don't know what Silent Hill is and what it's about, it really forces you to... You always feel like it's building to something. You always feel like you're just sort of dancing around the truth, and that all this is really just meant to distract you in the lead up to that. And I'm getting that same feeling from this map. I'm actually heading back here because as soon as we realize that those doors are teleports, we should have put extra attention on this place, because there is no reason for this to exist this way on this map if it doesn't lead to something. How about you? Well, I definitely saw something for a second there. Oh. Oh, it wouldn't be Silent Hill without an apartment level, would it? Well then, let's see what we can see, I guess. Oh wow, these halls are almost as open as the streets themselves. Although it's a little weirdly disconcerting to me how wide and bare these walls are. Door to room 301 is wide open, although it may not have always been, because there is one of those classic caged wall sections. And the stillness of the apartments in these games, it always makes me think of just like a snapshot of the remains of someone's life. All these books piled into boxes. Everything feels, well, in its own way, weirdly liminal. Like it's a transition, not necessarily between physical spaces, but between one time in a person's life and another. I see we're keeping up with the door jump scares. If anything, it looks like a chapter in someone's life that they abandoned in a hurry. Now, I realize that's just an asset, but in this situation, I would think that there's something purporting to be a child beneath it. Oh, and there's another one of those things. Wait, this one we can actually get to. Can we crouch down and get in there? No, it doesn't seem like it. Hang on, I hadn't seen this before. Oh, there's like a cutaway between two apartments. Oh, and they are breakable. Hang on, keep going, keep going. I'm surprised this is working as well as it is, to be honest. It's like you were keeping somebody in the bathtub. And for whatever reason, that's as close as we can get. A brace against this door. Now it makes the leaving in a hurry like you were going to be found out. But again, thinking in the literal sense is not how we should really go about this. That's so weird to me how just in the middle of the hall, even independent of any real landmarks, it tells us where we are. Every once in a while I have to jump so I can get my footsteps back. Normally it wouldn't be such a big deal, but we really need to grasp for any sound we can get. Nothing. God, these apartments are so weirdly laid out, aren't they? Like, they're so long. And you weren't the only one. I've always wondered what the significance of these grates was. It's one of those things that I feel like it has to be significant, but I've never been able to place just how. This one is like the door to a padded cell or something. And here's where we were trying to get through to before. this actually could be much bigger than I was thinking. Happy birthday. All this stuff still littering the floor and yet totally abandoned. And a lot of these cups never used. It almost looks like somebody threw a really sad party for themselves. Hadn't noticed the red light before. Okay, good. Nobody peeking at me from the closet. Ooh. Oh, it's a makeshift dark room. Kitty. Huh. Well, whoever was running this couldn't have been all bad. I imagine that in Silent Hill Alchemilla, this is probably used to solve like a puzzle or something. You know, I'm now realizing that my experience here is going to make my experience with the game itself a little bit strange. Still, this is a more obvious indicator of what was already true of all the other places, that, you know, we're kind of walking through somebody's memories. That was one thing that the GMOD map Silent Hill Apartment actually did really well, because, you know, Silent Hill as a concept really maps well onto the idea of an abandoned apartment building. So many different lives all coexisting side by side with each other, and possibly never even acknowledging each other. And that's us all the way around at the laundry chute. It's just so weird to me how so much of this space seems to be wasted. Like, it just seems like such a large space for so few units. Well, there's no going up to the roof. Would this be the ground floor then? No, this is second floor, so the one below this. Because we did climb a fire escape to get here. There's so much more. Oh my god. Okay, so we established there are mirrors at play on this map. Good thing to keep in mind. And some not so subtle at all. It doesn't seem like I can interact with you, however, that was very poltergeisty when I just, like, reached through like that, wasn't it? Something I've talked about in a couple of videos recently is, what if this is my Silent Hill? Like, what if one of these days I find a map that just seems to be touching all the right spaces, and then I go to take my headset off and find myself staring at the same image? Well, if ever a map were to do that, this would be the one. Oh, no, no, no! Okay, Different lives intersect here, but not all of them benevolent, huh? Oh my god, look at that. There's a sense of, like, ritual to this. Also, horror baby. I knew you wanted to get into modeling, but this is not the career for you. It's not like Outlast. It doesn't saturate its maps in bodies and gore. And so when you do come across something like that, it sticks with you. It lands. I mean, Silent Hill, again, I've only played Silent Hill 2, but it really felt like true psychological horror. And that term gets overused a lot because so many things say, like, oh, it's psychological horror, you know, because it makes you feel scared. No, psychological horror to me means that it forces you into a space that you don't want to be in, you know? So often in horror, something is very bizarre about this phone. Are you seeing this? Like, there's two phone parts of the phone for some reason. And it doesn't seem like we can go down this way, despite that ominously ajar door in the back. But yeah, as I was saying, like, with horror, so often it seems like you wince at the situations portrayed, and you think at the end, I am so glad that didn't happen to me. With psychological horror, it often kind of feels like it did. It's the kind of thing that leaves you questioning everything and, I don't know, I guess kind of questioning your own perception. That's another box, like one of the ones we saw on a dresser somewhere. Did someone throw it down here, or is whatever was contained in it, was that thrown down to a lower level? In any case, I think we've seen this whole floor. So only one more to go. Or is there only one more to go? This looks like... There's a basement. Oh god, there's a basement. Can we go through here? No. But it does seem that this area is smaller than the others. Here is a puzzle box. I believe I remember that from Silent Hill 2, so I'm not sure exactly how much this is Alchemilla's map, how much it's Silent Hill 2, and how much crossover there is even within that game. But it actually seems to be kind of in a rush to push me down to the basement, where who knows what we'll be encountering. I mean, this map has already shown that it's not strictly for RP purposes. I really don't like looking beyond there for too long, those shadows darting across the wall as I shine my light through. But it seems it just ends in a fairly typical maintenance area. Only problem now, we are completely alone in this dead silent apartment building, in the basement, and we have to go all the way up and dash through the exit. So that's going to be a lot of fun for me. Goodbye. And I don't know what it is, but every time I enter an area, and especially that, I feel like I've entered some weird pocket dimension where time has been passing excruciatingly slowly. But maybe that's just my own nerves. Especially seeing that TV, I know that it absolutely is willing to pull something. It is so interesting to me how the fog in Silent Hill is simultaneously almost blinding in its brightness, and yet still so suffocating. Because horror games typically do that by having a nighttime setting. It's the easy, obvious, spooky choice. And in Silent Hill 2, night did eventually fall, but both the day and night were meant to serve very particular purposes in that, beyond just safety and danger. I mean, in Silent Hill 2, night fell after a very specific story beat. And it wasn't just the transition from day to night. The lighting wasn't the only thing that changed. Yes, it was much harder to see in the dark and the fog simultaneously. But also, like, the enemies were more numerous. The ambiance seemed more aggressive. It was like the entire thing was changing with our mental state rather than due to any logical passage of time. It was an awesome way to use the environment to tell the story, rather than the other way around, telling the story to explain the environment. Silent Hill Town Center. There's that dream logic for you. We were thinking about the dark, and now here it is. Seems simple enough. Well, let's look around. I feel like the 50s had a very disturbing brand of advertising. But as usual, the only thing to be heard is our own footsteps echoing off the tile. Walking the corridor of this mall is not so different from walking the streets of the town itself. The Beverly Old Bookshop. And there's an ad for 2001: A Space Odyssey. Oh, have we already gotten into the back areas of the mall? You know, now it begs the question, if someone were, like, deathly afraid of the back rooms to the point where it actually started to impact their character, would it be possible then for them to come to Silent Hill and be shown the back rooms? Like, could they cause that crossover to occur? I don't know, I kind of feel like we should mount a tracking device, or at least a GoPro to them, and try and check that out for science. But before we screw around in the back areas, let's check out the stuff we were meant to see. The Museum Watch. No idea what kind of establishment that's supposed to be. Oh, soap shop. It says soap shop. I was just going to say, have I found soup? Am I at soup? Happy Burger. A mall fast food place with, for some reason, the ambiance of a dive bar. Not all food is good for you. Be careful of what you eat before it eats you. Okay, so is this some kind of imaginary utopia where fast food gets the same treatment as cigarettes? Is that a Surgeon General's ad and not yours? Okay, first outward signs of violence we've noticed. Wait. Oh no, I think it's just the way the fog was reacting as I moved. For a second, it almost looked like there was fresh steam rising out of the pot. Actually, there's a lot of weird particles in my way. This area is blocked. You can actually only go through the stores. My god. Could have gathered that was going to happen. Oh, you set that up on purpose, having this one closest to the door be the one with the curtain draped over it. Every time I think it's been quite a while since I've actually been bothered by one of these things. Doesn't help that I'm being watched the entire time. Now, this store, I don't believe, was actually accessible from any outward angle. That's strange. Maybe it's supposed to be like an employee break area. But look at that. It's got windows going outward, but no exterior doors. In fact, it looks down onto where we came in. All these things covered in tarps like sheet ghosts watching me as I pass. I get a bad feeling from this room. I do not like being here. Alright, if that's all... Oh, wow, wait, no, the stairs actually go quite a bit further up. Hello. Can we actually access the roof? No. Alright. I do not want to spend one more second here than I have to. Every moment I've been here has been plagued with thoughts of the so-called Phantom of the Mall. Wait, though. There's still a basement level, it seems like. Which we thankfully do not have to access. Thank you very much. Every once in a while, I'll just swear I hear something, and the thing is, this map is so silent that I often mistake things that are happening just out in the world around me because I'm just like hyperfixating on anything that draws my attention. But still, that sounded distinctly like the sound wood dragging makes in the Source engine. Okay, no, I've lost track of myself. Were we going this way, I think? But that is another dead end. And that's an open invitation. Question is, should I take it? Well, with another one of these things over here, and not a whole lot else, I'm thinking we don't have much of a choice, do we? Green Lion. Wasn't that mentioned before on that document? It could only be better if someone had written free candy outside the door. there was a hole here. There still is, but there used to be too. I guess we've got to crawl in. God, that is so creepy and cool. Just think of the dream logic in that. Like, we first hear this name in a document detailing blatant abuse in an abandoned medical facility. Finally, we're just walking the streets, feeling that dread build that this is all coming to something. And then finally we see it, that name. We can't really recall quite where at first, but it leads straight downward. And in Silent Hill 2, moving downward always represented a worsening of our mental state. We're being led more tightly than ever before, the environment getting darker than ever before. And here we find nothing special, but a path that shouldn't be here. Well, let's go. Oh my god. You caught me off guard for a moment there. That's blood. And that's crime scene tape. How far down does the rabbit hole go? Well, I guess that's what we're here to find out, isn't it? Because given that we went down, this place shouldn't exist. It's like behind every door is a fresh murder scene. I figured you'd be a mirror. I knew you were going to try and do that again. And I've got to try each of these doors, even if I don't actually think they'll lead anywhere. Then again, what if? No, but our eyes just did something freaky for a second. It's like the dismembered limbs of each mannequin represents the... It's like these mannequins represent each of the victims, all dismembered as if they're gore amidst all this blood. It's always easier to blame somebody else than to blame yourself. Or rather, yourself. Is that the point? I'm supposed to look in the mirror? It's always easier to forget than to remember. Okay, we did end up coming upon something on a slab. Maybe I'm supposed to be a doctor who made some mistake during surgery and someone died as a result. I mean, think about it. All of this comes back to medicine. We started off our journey by exploring the hospital, and now here we are, in another medical facility deep underground where one couldn't be. My God. Why do you have to do that to me? I get the impression, though, that that one's not a mannequin. and straight out onto concrete that feels more like a prison than a hospital. Nothing here. And nothing here. It's the end of the road. This is giving us false hope that there's something beyond, but all we can really do is confront what's right here. Maybe for a moment I can believe that we did confront what we needed to, and this is us rising up out of darkness instead of just descending. Well, Flashlight, did I help you face your fears? Hopefully that means I can count on your help full on in future endeavors. But that was RP Silent Hill Dark. Given all this fog, I don't imagine a no-clip run will be all that useful, though I can try. But it is just so cool, and as I said earlier, I'm not sure to what extent it's just copy-pasting environments from Alchemilla. I think that is on the source engine, so for all I know, this is just a straight-up port with the levels stitched together. But in any case, it is so cool to be able to take this and explore it, not only in my own pace, but in person. I don't believe there's been an official Silent Hill VR experience yet, which is kind of surprising. I mean, it works really well, being so immersed in the fog and the silence and just, I don't know, the feeling that you're being led all while being left to your own devices. I love the variety of highly detailed environments to look around in. Because normally when a map bills itself as being for RP purposes, what that means is that there's not going to be a whole lot to look at, that many of the spaces will be a blank slate for players to project their own game onto. Which, not that that's a bad thing whatsoever, but to me that often takes away from the exploration. It makes it feel like a very hollow shell that is just meant to look like something rather than emulate it. With this, it felt like Silent Hill. I always felt like something was on the tip of my tongue, like it was trying to tell me something that was right in front of my face, and I, for whatever reason, just couldn't grasp it. I really appreciated how it preserved details like the staticky TV in the apartments and the red glow and whatever was going on in the mad photographer's room. That note we found on the front desk of the hospital that eventually led us to that stairway down to seemingly nothing and then everything. Really straight down to the point, I guess. That's the thing. In the Silent Hill universe, I feel like everything always seems so open and scary, and it eventually brings you down until it narrows to a fine point, and everything is laid bare right in front of you. And the fact that all of that is still true on this map makes it feel much more like a Silent Hill map, and not just a Silent Hill themed skin of an RP map. As we get back to where we started, though, my one criticism, and I'm not even sure how others will feel about this, is the total lack of ambient sounds. And I know people are going to be like, it's called Silent Hill, bro. Well, on the one hand, I can see the merit in that. The merit in being entirely confined to your own thoughts. It's almost like sensory deprivation, which is actually an effect of the fog that I hadn't considered before. But then there's the fact that, like, you know, it does... But then, you know, I don't know if it would have been a little spookier if it had, you know, just a little bit of wind, a little bit of creaking. Because I'm pretty sure the games weren't actually silent themselves, so I don't know how you feel about that. Let me know in the comments. All in all, though, it's a really atmospheric map that is really capturing the eerie, which is pretty much sitting right in the middle of creepy and comfy if you think about it. And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one, which will either be something like Silent Hill Alchemilla itself, or, I don't know, maybe I'll try and beat my record on Rampage. Ooh, a classic.